Welcome everyone to our fourth and unfortunately for that moment, last episode was wonderful, Nika Kozyra. Welcome Nika and happy to have you with us the sunny month of June with the beautiful woman.
I'm so grateful to be here. This has been an amazing experience and it's so bittersweet because on one end it's like we did it. On the other end it's you know what, but it's not a goodbye. It's an I see you later.
Dear audience, we were talking with Nika and Nika was sharing her wisdom as a founder of Stolat Wellness. How to refine yourself in times of pain, when we experience pain in life, this physical, this emotional, how to rebuild the worth and how to understand you are a worthy human being. In the last episode, we were talking about vulnerability, communication, and how to make it better for stronger relationships with other people. The huge part from all knowledge that we had is everything starts with you. And today we will be talking about how you are building your tribe, how you are building your surrounding you environment. What are your criteria? Are those criteria based on your value or society's trends? So I do hope you enjoy our wonderful and packed in really great insights from Nika conversations. And this will be another stage of great learning. So then Nika, what is the role of a tribe, of people around us in terms of being healthy in life?
So as we talked in prior episodes, you know, we're all energetic beings and you need to find energy from other people. Whether you realize it or not, we exchange energies all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're surrounded with people with negative energy or bad energy, right? Bad vibes, whatever you want to, coin it as, you get depleted. You don't grow. When you're surrounded by good energy, positive energy, and like real energetic energy, right? Like you're buzzing, you feel better, you feel you feel like amazing, right? It's the difference between how many times have you gone to dinner with someone and you're already like, ah, you didn't even want to go, you went out of obligation, and now you're just like, am I going to get to bed like by 10 o'clock, right? Where there's the other people where you look at the watch and you're like, oh my God, it's 10:30. Like, I got to get up at 4 o'clock the next morning. I got to go, right? And that you've
We know that
experienced that.
experience.
Yeah, so many times. But like, we're all energy. And I think the biggest thing is we hold on to people in our lives out of obligation, out of because comfort, or they've always been there, or because they're family, or we just don't want to be lonely. We don't want to be alone. But those people aren't growing us. We're not learning. We're not developing. We're not becoming better versions of ourselves, right? It's the same thing if you buy a plant. That plant will only grow as big and as strong as the light that you give it, the water. When if you don't water it for a month, it's probably going to die, right? Fertilizing it a couple times a year, it's going to grow huge. If you're not giving that plant any life, any energy, any attention, it's going to wilter. It's going to die. Humans are the same, you know?
I think
We
my plants adapted to my conditions. I love plants, but I don't have hands. And by nature, I bought the plants that literally, I said, oh my God, when did I give you water? I think like 2 months ago. But they are still green.
Yeah,
So they have mercy to me.
yeah, you know what? Listen, I have like 120 something plants in my house. Like
How
my house is
many?
120 plus. My house is a
Oh,
jungle. I like this is a new clipping, off of a plant. So I'm always growing something and I do not have a green thumb. I just wing it. But I
Okay.
think it is like my office, for example. I have money trees that when I bought were this big. They're almost at my ceiling now. And they started growing when I moved into this place. And I've been
Mm.
here, this particular unit in this building about 3 years now. And
Okay.
there's something about, and this, funny to say, is the first place that's ever felt like home to me. And
Oh,
everything around me just, I have like 20 orchids, which I still don't know what I'm doing, but they bloom like once or twice a year now. There's, it's probably because I am now at a place of like peace and
wow.
homeostasis.
Mm.
So I amplify it. It's the same thing when people come into my home. They're like, oh my God, I feel so relaxed. Like I could just relax here. You know, it's that feeling if you go to a really nice hotel and you walk in and the bed is nicely made, it smells nice in there. The first thing you do, you go look at the bathroom, right? It's the weirdest thing
That's
that we
very
do.
interesting, but it's true.
True. You always look at the bathroom like, I don't know what your magic you're expecting in there because it's the bathroom. But you're so like, oh, this is so nice and clean. And, you know, it's that same energy that I have in my home, which was so important to me. And that is now the exact energy of the people that I want around me to have.
Mm.
There are plenty of people that I have had as childhood friends and I've known, and those are still friends, but there's different levels to friendships in my world because not everyone is on the same trajectory. Like we've had so many conversations when we started our businesses, we had no support. The people who are our closest friends couldn't even hit a like on something that we posted or
Mm.
something we created, let alone share it. And you know, you don't want to be that friend who's like, oh, please support me, please like me, please. No, because if they don't authentically think that it was great material, I don't want you just like all my stuff to like all my stuff, right? But I would love to see my friends or family support me. And we've used this example in a previous episode. Life is a plate. It's
Mm.
a plate. Sometimes there's food and there's stains, right? We got to get rid of it. And sometimes you got to get rid of the plate altogether and start all over again. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that because everyone comes into your life for a reason or a season, for a
Mm.
chapter in your life to learn something from, to maybe unlearn something, right, from that relationship. And hopefully, you know, if you have one or two friends that have known you for decades, you're rich, you're rich. And I don't think most people have that. I think most people have single serving friendships, right? Oh, we're friends because we go to yoga together, or we're friends because we sit next to each other at work. And they're not really deep rooted friendships. There isn't this exchange of vulnerability, there isn't this exchange of real deep conversations, saying things that maybe sound stupid out loud once you say them, but that person doesn't judge you anyway because they
Mm.
create the safe space and a safe place for you, right? I mean, when we first connected, we talked, I think like 3 or 4 hours, right? I
Yes,
mean,
that's so true.
and it's so funny because we have all of these commonalities and stuff. And as we already discussed, like we're going to be friends forever, right?
Mm.
You know what? If I was so busy with having 1,000 friendships and 1,000 people to maintain, I might not have had room to build and foster and nurture and grow a relationship between you
Mm.
and I. So I think it's about as we get older, learning that the people who are meant to stay will stay. And if people want to go, you should let them because they are creating and setting you up for that next phase, that next level.
And it's also like the previous episodes, I believe, are enabling us to understand what kind of work we shall do around ourselves because when we are having or choosing people to be around us, I find it's quite critical to know what are the criteria. Based on what? And like you said, we can have various reasons we are hanging out among the people. We like wealthy people, so we want to make some noise, go for party, go for disco, and so on. We like people who are reading a lot of books, right? So we will hang out. But why? Why? What's the value I'm getting when I'm around those people? And I love this example that you have shared that sometimes you are drained after 30 minutes and You call them friends, but inside you feel you need to make a duty, but you are only watching, okay, I gave 2 hours, I'm leaving after two
Mm-hmm.
hours. Whereas there will be a spontaneous meeting with this one particular friend, and you don't even feel the time.
Absolutely.
But the difference will be you go out from this 2 hour dinner and you feel empty, plus tired. From this whole night conversation, 1 hour sleep, you will wake up with tired eyes, but you will be full of energy and inspired for action.
Mm-hmm. That's the power of energy.
As long as you don't understand why you are lost, right? Because some people don't understand that, they don't see it, the difference. And we are stuck into this concept of friendship from the childhood because we got used to them. We know each other for 10 years, so that's why we are friends. But we are not asking what's the value, how we can define the criteria in us, how to build the relationships.
Well, I
With
like
whom?
with
Maybe better, with whom?
well, you know, I think you have to define one important thing first, right? And we've talked about this in previous episodes. You have to define your own worth, right? What is my value? What do I bring to the table? And what is the admission to the price of my life, right? What is this VIP only? Is this general admission? Like what is the admission into your life? And a lot of people are
I love
used,
that idea and concept, by the way. The VIP admission.
like a
Dear
lot.
audience, make the note. It sounds funny, but actually it's absolutely empowering and super powerful. So let's be VIP admission type people.
Yeah. But then, a lot of people are users, right? And I'm sure you've met several people in your life that only use you because you know something, or you have a hookup somewhere, or you can help them with something. But then when the shoe is on the other end, they're nowhere to be found. They're nowhere to be found. They've never helped you with anything. And you've allowed these people in your life because you've known them for 10 years.
Mm,
So not only do you have to know your own worth, because you should be the one determining that. You need to figure out the admission into your life. And then third of all is you have to pay attention to how people make you feel. I don't think there's like a certain person or there's a criteria for that person. Is how do they make you feel? Like personally, I'm a strong, opinionated, independent person. I love when I meet somebody who I instantly am like, not, I don't like that person. And that is because, and I'm not saying I feel like I don't like that person, is I don't like that person. Right. I'll give you a prime example. My oldest dog is having some medical stuff. So I am driving almost 3 hours round trip to see a specialist. And
mm.
the minute I met her, I was like, don't like her, not a fan, don't like her at all. And my dog loves her, and my dog is great judge of character. I like her energy, but I don't like her. And it's funny because on the last visit we had, which was Saturday, I literally said to her, like, yeah, I know you don't really like me. You and I don't meet. And we started laughing. She goes, yeah, I could tell you didn't like me either. And I said, yeah. I said, but you know what? I like that I don't like you because it means you are triggering in me something, right? You're probably reminding me too much of myself,
Mm.
right? You're like, and she's very strong. She's like, no nonsense. She's like, I don't care that you're busy. I'm busy too, right? Like, so, and I love it because I lean into people like that now more. I don't want people who are like, oh my God, like, Veronica, you're so great. And you're so, like, I don't want to be around that. I don't want a cheerleader. I want a friend. I want someone who's going to call me on my bullshit, somebody who's going to be like, okay, you know what? No, I don't like that. That was great. You could do better. That's who I lean into now. Genuine people, people who are not afraid to tell me if I'm doing something right, if I messed up, and they're doing it to make me better.
Mm.
That's the people I choose to surround myself with. People who challenge me, people who are just honest with me. I really, really value honesty within people.
Mm.
And like, I'm someone who I always tell people, hurt me with the truth, never pacify me with a lie. Because I'd rather have someone, especially through these years when I've been building my business and stuff like that. If you think my website is trash, tell me. If you thought the video was terrible, great. Why? Right? Tell me where I was wrong, where I was missing, where I was whatever, because that's what I think is a real tribe.
The
A real
constructive,
tribe,
sorry,
uh,
continue,
you
please.
know, like a real tribe, in my opinion, they're not your cheerleaders. They are people who support you and it will tell you the things you don't want to hear, but you need to hear.
Mm.
And it doesn't matter if you don't see them, but maybe a couple times a year. Maybe you don't talk to them, but maybe once a month. But when you have those interactions with those people, they are 100% genuine and they're 100% real and authentic.
It's kind of also the value of constructive feedback. There's a huge difference. There will be people who will tell me, oh, you should do this different. But also the background of the person who is sharing this feedback will have impact on how it will be received. Because if we are in certain level not equal, like for example, you are doing the business around Stolat Wellness, and I'm your friend cashier from Walmart. And I'm telling you, I believe the way how you are getting customers, it's a wrong way because you should do one, two, three. I'm tutoring you. I am not mentoring, I'm tutoring you. And there is a risk that my message will be received in a negative way because not to disrespect, but you are at different level of in life than me. And somehow I want to be authoritarian to you. You should do this different. That's not constructive feedback. The constructive feedback, I think, will be still packed with love between lines. And for the question if I'm doing something wrong, it will not be, you need to change this. Somehow, it's just right now when I'm having some of people who are that way, they will give me a constructive feedback that it doesn't trigger negative emotions, but it triggers you, oh, I need some place to grow. If you go deeper, it will be also the difference in the maturity these people are at in
But
their
you know what?
personal life.
It's interesting when people talk about maturity because if you hang out with people who are very immature, right? Then you're not challenged to be more mature. And I'll give you an example because I literally had this conversation with a client of mine last week where since he started working with me, it doesn't really appeal to him, to go to the bar or to the club and pop bottles and get drunk and, just, take home any random girl or whatever. And he's noticed that the conversations he's been wanting to have or trying to start with his friends who just want to drink and get high all day, like they're just not there. So he says to me, and we've been working with each other for a couple of months now, and we're doing a lot of work together. And he's just like, I don't have friends. He's like, I don't really have anyone to talk to. And I said, and that's okay. I said, maybe this is God, universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, giving you space to just isolate and focus on yourself and then decide the type of people you want around you. Because these are also people like himself who've been through severe traumas. But the difference is he's deciding he doesn't want to be, when he reaches his 30s, 40s, somebody having a midlife crisis.
Mm.
So through us working together, he's making these decisions and he's making these changes. His tribe is now changing because he has changed. So that the common, because right, all tribes have what? It's a commonalities, right? They do similar things, they think similar ways, right? That's usually what a tribe is consistent of. So as he's growing and developing and challenging and emotionally maturing and being more accountable for his life and decisions and
Mm.
healing things from his past, he's realizing this environment isn't healthy and productive for me anymore because these people are toxic and they're negative and they want to stay there. And that's okay. And maybe they
Yes.
will one day decide to grow as well. But you have to understand that, it's kind of like what I say about myself all the time. If I am the only voice in the room that's speaking, I'm in the wrong room because I'm not growing. I'm not learning. I'm not being challenged. So
Mm.
I want other people to be like, but I have this opinion. Well, this is what I know because I want to be stimulated and I want
I
to learn
love
that
these kind
too.
of conversations where
Yeah,
when I feel oh, this I don't know. Tell me more about that. Or like you say, to have brain stimulated, to take me on different level of knowledge where I'm going home and I want to read something more about that. When we are realizing we are not having, like your client has shared, you gave us an example that he realized he doesn't have friends that he really needs for his growth. There might be the moment that, oops, we are alone. Does being alone is a good phase for our growth?
absolutely. Because you know what? When you're alone and you have no distractions,
Mm.
you have to face your stuff. We use people, we use TV, we use the phone as constant distractions to really deal with what we have to deal with. It is so much harder to sit in silence with yourself and your baggage and your demons and your hurt and your pain than it is to go grab a drink at the bar and get distracted and get a
With the
little
loud
tipsy or
music?
drunk. Yeah,
Mm.
right. I mean, this is why, when I work with couples, for example, I tell them all the time, if you guys are going to have serious conversations, don't even have a glass of wine. Do it when it's just you and that person sitting at home, no TV, complete silence, and just talk.
Mm.
It's going to be so much more effective. And it works the same way when you're talking to yourself, because when you're dealing with things, you need that time and that space. And I noticed with my own transformation, and I went through all of it, right? The physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. It was a lot of lonely times. It was a lot of times of feeling like, wow, I have no friends. Like, no one understands me. I'm just out here on my own. And I went from somebody who, I would have all these people around me, but majority of those people were just using me. They just
Mm.
wanted to be around me because of the benefit that came along with being me, not because they genuinely cared about me and my well-being. And that was okay too, because I needed to learn that lesson. So I think when it comes back to your tribe will honor the fact that maybe you need some alone time and you need some isolation, but they'll still send that random text message or call like, hey, I was just thinking about you. Are you good today? Are you
Mm.
all right?
When we are learning, when we are defining our triggers, our needs, because this is also what we were talking about, and I still have it in my mind, know your value or other people will price you. Yes. And I think moment of the silence to be with yourself, as it is difficult, it is worth for you to understand indeed what is your value, and value eventually will help you to define your criteria, whom you want to be surrounded by. It's also very, I think, very life-based example. You are having a conversation with a young woman, and sometimes among my clients is appearing, I'm lonely and I want to have someone. And young lady, it's like, there is no candidate. I'm young. She's like 24 years old, so very, very young. And not sure where I can meet. I said, okay, what kind of man we would like to meet? So that is reading a lot of books, is having knowledge about that, and having this kind of qualities and this kind of qualities. Where are you going? than to meet this type of guys. So I'm going for this club, this club, this club. So how can you find in the club, which is blurred with smoke, full filled with the loud music, and you are looking for a guy who's reading the book?
Right. And that's true. That's very true. I mean, listen, that's not to say that the guy who reads the book is not in the club, right?
Absolutely.
But the club is not, the club, I don't think there's anyone that would ever tell you, like, go to a club if you're single, if we are looking for the simple fact that 80+% of the people are drunk or high, right? So you're not meeting people in their actual true senses. You're meeting this alternate, dulled, or, exaggerated version of someone. And I mean, I'm a big believer in timing.
Mm.
I don't think sometimes you can force something just because you want it. And I've always been very open about my journey, and I decided to be single for, a long time for the single fact that I had to really work on my own stuff. I needed to be selfish, and you can't be selfish while you're trying to build a relationship. That's just not going to work. And I needed to be selfish, and I needed to take time for me, and I needed to heal stuff, and I needed to unpack some baggage and really redefine what type of man I want in my life. What does he look like? What is the criteria of the type of man that I need and that I want, right? Because my needs and wants have also changed. And the men that I would normally be typically attracted to now completely uninterested in. And that's how I know I've done a lot of healing. That doesn't mean there isn't more to heal and there aren't going to be moments of growth, but I mean, huge leaps and bounds from where I've been to. The other thing is, I always knew I'd be a great mother, but for me, having children without a father is just non negotiable. That's my personal beliefs.
Mm.
And I also think, as a woman, where I see so many issues is within society, I think it's irresponsible for me to take on the task of learning how to raise a boy to be a man. So if I was not going to be able to ensure that I was going to have a child with someone and my son would always have a man that he would have, raising him, I didn't want to be another issue for society.
Mm.
Yes, some people tell me I'm delayed because of now I'm 40 and, I'm not married yet and I don't have kids yet. And my response is, but when I am going to have married and kids, because I definitely will be married and have kids, I'm going to be healthy now. I'm going to be healthy for my husband, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. I will be healthy for my children. I have also started to learn this thing called patience, which is was not born with it, right? And
Mm.
a relationship, just like children need patience. So I am now the best version of myself to really start that journey. I'm a better friend now. I'm a better daughter now. I'm a better coworker now.
Mhm.
And I now pick my tribe and the people around me based on the criteria of health, of where I'm at. And that doesn't mean I don't have friends that are toxic or relationships in my life that aren't the most positive, because I'm not going to abandon those people just because they're not on my level. But I'm going to keep a distance between that person and myself, right? I'm not going to get caught up in their chaos or their craziness or their toxicity. Like if I start noticing people are getting out of hand, sounds like it's time for me to call the Uber, right? And
Mhm.
get out of there. And that's okay. That's okay as well.
The silence moment are important, like you say, to clean yourself, unpack the package, and see what is happening to repair. What is the myth about the strength that we are calling people strong, but also, like we said, it's only the facade? What's the myth about the strength?
I think that when people think or perceive you as being strong, that nothing bothers you, that nothing in life goes wrong for you. And I think that leads a lot of people to mistreat you. I will never forget, I was told by someone hey, Nika, just because you're strong, it doesn't give people license to treat you poorly. And that has always kind of stuck with me because, I'm the strong one, right? I'm the one who nothing bothers, allegedly. Everything is always perfect in my world just because I'm not falling apart or I'm not posting on social media sad stuff. And people just always assume because you're strong, everything goes right, nothing goes wrong, and everything is beautiful and it's rainbows and butterflies. And that's not the truth, right? The issue with strong people is we are actually more disconnected than most people because we had to be to protect ourselves. We are more guarded. Therefore, we don't. And when you guard yourself, you don't experience the bad, but you don't experience the good either. So you walk through life when you're a strong person, a lot of the times, really disconnected from other people and from yourself
Hmm.
because you have to be the strong one, right? It's like when I wear the uniform, I can't sit there and cry. I can't be upset about something because someone else needs me. They're they're not going to feel safe or entrusting someone if I'm falling apart. So, I think when it comes to strength, it's just the same thing I feel about people that you would perceive as weak, right? A lot of the times, those classifications are literally based on just the way someone walks through life, because those are reflections on what they've been through in life. It doesn't mean that's their default, right? Like, I don't know would I have been as strong of a person as I am today if I didn't go through all the things I went through. I don't know. But you know where I will take credit for being strong? I will take credit for the fact that I went through those things. I chose to not want to live and repeat those same mistakes over and over again. And I got up and I put my money where my mouth was and I did the work. And that's where I rather people see me as being strong, as for recognizing my weakness and knowing I had stuff to work on and taking that accountability and wanting to become a better version of myself, then I'm just strong.
Hmm.
People throw that word around and it usually is not really, it comes off, I guess, societally as a compliment to be strong versus weak. But most of us walking around that are labeled as strong, we're not getting credit for being strong for the right reasons.
Oh, I like that. Because we don't talk about that. When you're in a room where people will call you strong, indeed, there might be the misconception and they call you strong for the wrong reason because this is how they see and they what they see. But also we don't talk about what we are going through. There will be people who will share all little details from the suffer, what is happening in the house, in the family, this, that. And then there's you sitting there
Mm.
in silence with the knowledge you went through, even with the 100 Fahrenheit degrees bigger than what the person is saying. But in a silence, you will eventually advise based on your knowledge that you can gain through your experience. But you will
Mhm.
not talk about the pain.
Right,
So
because that goes back to vulnerability.
mhm, we will not show the details where we get the strong strength from. And maybe this is why there is this misconception about understanding or even labeling people strong and not being able to see in them resilience.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Building the relationship is the journey. We are learning, but also a journey where we are keeping repeating the same mistakes.
Well, when it comes to mistakes, though, once again, this brings me to like a spiritual level, right? Because God, universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, will keep sending you that same mistake, that same lesson until you learn it. And majority of us are like, with a relationship, oh, why do I keep picking the same losers? Or, why do I end up having these dead end jobs? Well, you're you're picking them. You're not learning the lesson that is meant to be learned. And until you learn that lesson, you can't move
Mhm.
forward. Because I'm a big believer in like there's levels to this existence. And the more challenges you complete, the more levels you complete, the higher that you keep going.
I like that. The game concept. But it's true. When mistake, and I agree with you with this kind of idea, why I'm only meeting these people, because you are falling into that same approach of other people. You are driven by the same triggers, by the same values. You didn't make any modifications in you, right? How many times we can do mistake to still name it healthy mistake when mistake become pattern.
I mean, I think that's too broad to really decide one way or another. And the reason I say
Mm,
that is because mistakes are patterns,
okay.
and patterns are a projection of the internal, right? And of the past of what happens, right?
Mhm.
You pick the people around you that are the most familiar, right? As far as let's say relationships goes, because that's always easy examples. So those mistakes are only a mistake a lot of the times when they don't work out.
Mm,
Be right. So a mistake is just a pattern that either worked out positively or negatively. And when it turns out negatively, that's when you now call your pattern a mistake. So it's in my opinion, it's reversed. It's always the pattern. And if it works out, it was great. And when it doesn't, now it was just another mistake.
we own our life. We shall definitely own the accountability for our decision. How we eventually can shift our mindset from this survival mode to really intentional, purposeful lifestyle.
I mean, just like with anything, first and foremost, you have to know that there's a problem, right? You have to acknowledge that something's not right. Then once you acknowledge something's not right, okay, well, what's not right with it?
Mhm.
And for some people, it works to write things down so that they can visually see. Some people, it's talking about it. Some people, it's just really sitting in silence, right? I mean, whatever your method or technique, it really doesn't matter. Once you realize, okay, I don't want my life to look like this anymore. This is why I'm living my life this way. Then you have the most powerful thing in your arsenal of weaponry, which is your imagination. And you
Mm,
have to imagine, what do you want your life to be like? Because once you imagine it, it's already there. Then you work backwards. Then you go, okay, so this is my goal now. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to see.
mm,
How do I get there? And you build the steps to go there to that point. So for me, you have to decide what you want your life to look like. Anything can change in a minute, in a day, in a month, in a year, right? Huge leaps and bounds. The only limitation that you're putting on your life is you are putting it on there. Okay. No one else around you, regardless of the cards that you are dealt, you are the player in that game. And I know for, some of the people listening, you're like, well, my life just has sucked. Everything's happening to me bad and bad and bad and bad, but it's happening like for you, not to you.
mm,
Because maybe you're meant to be another person who's going to share their story to help other people that are going through that. We all have, in my opinion, purposes in these lives. And there's a reason why we're here. There's a grand design, in my opinion. So if life is not going the way you want it, if your relationship not where you want it, and there really is in your no turning point for these things, then start over. Get a new plate and start over. And that's scary and that's uncomfortable. And it's going to be lonely and there's going to be some crying and there's going to be some anger and there's going to be confusion and all that. but you will come out of it 10 times better.
How valuable is the other people presence, and how can we define which is the good one, which is not supportive one?
I mean, I just think it goes back to following your own intuition and your energy, right? Like just listen to your gut. If you feel energized and you feel good after leaving a meeting, a friendship, a date, whatever, keep going. If that person makes you feel less than, or if that person makes you sad or angry, then let that go. But don't be afraid of the people that challenge you, though. Don't be afraid of the people that make you feel a little uncomfortable, because those are people who are going to be some of your greatest teachers in life. As I say, like a broken record, you're never going to grow from a place of comfort.
Absolutely. Everything will be fine. The person, the person who will tell you the truth to the face, which is not cushy cushy one, this is where you just heard truth about yourself sometimes. And that's the moment where, oh, stop, wait, 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 wait. But people are also afraid to face that, because what is after is the next step. It's requirement they need to do some work around. I'm not sure if I'm willing to do that work. Yes. If we are thinking we are finding the strength just to drop and find a new house, new wife, new husband, that's the solution. I don't believe that. What do you think
Well,
about this?
I mean, but this is the society we're in, right? Everybody's replaceable. The minute things get not the way you want them to do, find somebody else. This is the culture of swipe right, you know.
Ah,
You get
yes.
right? Like this is instant gratification. You don't have to go to the gym to keep your body fit. You just go to the doctor and, get it done. You know, you don't have to sit there and, like back in the day, we used to have to do our nails and stuff, right? Because you go to somebody to do it, or you just, you know, get fake ones, right? This is a society where everything's replaceable and there's just no value to stuff. I think there is extreme value, whether it's a friendship, a relationship that has 10 plus years be underneath its belt,
Mm.
because you can only hide for so long, right? Like they say, and when you're meeting somebody, the first 6 months is always like the honeymoon period, and then after 6 months people can't really hide themselves anymore. Well, that's also really true, for friendships as well. And I think if you start with from a place of authenticity and honesty and vulnerability, I think those relationships will only grow and they will bond over time,
Mm.
and you will see value in that person. So you're going to do anything that you can do in order to maintain that relationship or that friendship, not replace them.
Have to have wisdom around. It's undervalued quality we really, really need in life. And we need it more. Not just the noise that is done by people around for the flashy lights and wonderful music, but really wisdom, and sometimes the wisdom of silence. Yes. Nika, we are finishing our June summer vibe, maybe quite heavy before summer, but we do hope, I hope that actually it will be the right 4 pills of wisdom before we lose our minds during the summer vibes. What will
You never
be
know.
yes, this kind of the big hook message to our listeners?
I think that even if you've made it through these 4 episodes, and these are heavy, and I know we talked about some things that you might have sat there and been like, that sounds like me, I'm offended, or I'm turning this off. I hope you stuck with it. um my our hopes, I know, when we discussed about making this series, is to kind of dive deeper into a lot of conversations, and kind of not only talk about them but also try to explain to people, like I always say, it's a lot simpler than you think, right? It's
Mm.
these little things that you can do on a daily basis to just get to a better place and space in your life. And I hope that with these 4 episodes, people understood that transformations can start today. You don't have to wait for Monday. You don't have to wait for the right timing. You can literally start to just use these little tiny tips, tricks, habits today. And then 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, a year from now, you're literally living the life and you're on the path to the life that you want to be on. And, that's my hope. And like I always tell everybody, just find your joy. Just find something that you love to do that makes you happy. The weather's getting nicer. People are out more. People tend to be happier in the summertime because of the sun.
Mm.
Spend more time outside. Get off the damn phones. Phone a friend. Have some food in the park. It doesn't have to be fancy. Reconnect with the people that matter to you. Find new connections that foster you and have you grow and just live life. Just live. Stop existing. Stop Monday and Fridaying, Netflix and chilling, but live your life. Love it. Have a passion for it. I wish you guys the most amazing summer filled with amazing food, drinks, memories, laughter, shenanigans, crazy stories. But just live your beautiful life and have an amazing summer.
Yes. Just live your life the way you deserve and find your purpose. I love what Nika has said. It is not about quick fix. And unfortunately, we are also seeing too many of the content in the internet. Look how quickly you can become this, that. No, you know that very well. So start thinking. If you need to work for 6, 7 months around your butt to have new shape, most probably the same time you need to work around your mind. Don't undervalue your mind. Give the quality time to your mind. And I also applause to Nika when she said about be with yourself. Be with yourself because then the demons start to dance. And that's the beautiful time because after that dance, you find your fire, your inner fire, which is your truth fire. And
Absolutely.
and that's the VIP
Absolutely. Yes.
package.
Yes.
Nika, thank you very, very much. And let me think about the winter season. I think, yeah, the Christmas time sometimes can be heavy time for the families. So I think we will find some good topics to meet in November, the month of Scorpio, end of October you're in, so we can find some common ground and bring some Christmas vibe to people. So inspired and so glad and grateful to your time. Thank you very much, Nika.
Thank you, Magdalena. It was absolutely amazing. I'm so excited to see how all of this comes together. And I agree with you. I think we should do another mini series for the winter time. I think there's so much more to talk about.
We will be dressed in hoodies
Yeah, a little
with the
bit.
hot cacao.
And then we'll have the pierogi and stuff. We'll be ready.
Absolutely. Sałatka jarzynowa.
Naprawdę.
Yeah, that's a good. We just said to everybody and let's be selfish. Pozdrawiamy wszystkich Polaków, gdziekolwiek jesteście na świecie.